look back on it now, I mean, is there any, any second thoughts, second guessing, or?
No. Maybe there should be, but there's not. And the reason I made the initial, most governors do run for re-election. I mean, you raise a very good point. And there are those who made the case to me that it might be a very easy path to take. I think poll numbers at the time had our approval in the 70s, and that was pretty incredible. But be that as it may, I think I recognized that our country needed help, and I felt that if we could promote more of a common sense approach in Washington, that would be a good thing for Florida and for America. And that's why I decided to run for the Senate, was to try to encourage that approach. And so I don't regret having made the decision. I still believe that we need more common sense in Washington. I believe it now more than I did a year ago when I decided to run for the Senate. I think it becomes more clear every day that there is a stench of partisanship that exists in our nation's capital that's hurting the future of our country.
Why do you think your poll numbers? Why do you think your poll numbers came down?
Well, I'm not sure. A number of reasons. I think in large measure due to the economy. That certainly has to have an impact on attitudes of people. I used to play quarterback, and I can remember when we would win a game, the quarterback always got probably more credit than you deserve, the leader. When we would lose a game, maybe more of the blame than you deserve. It's not a whole lot different being governor, frankly. But, I'm happy they've gone back up. I mean, we're up in the mid-60s again, which is pretty astounding considering the economy we still are dealing with. But, I try not to be guided by that stuff, so.
After the 2008 election, I mean, it seemed like the moderate, practical politics was on the rise. Between you and Governor Schwarzenegger, it seemed like what do you think accounts for it turning so quickly? I mean, just the economy. The economy was bad at the end of 2008, right?
2 points. The greater downturn in the polling, I think, related more to a partisan poll rather than a total electorate poll. And when you get to the total electorate, the numbers are quite different. I think there still is that mood and that sense for common sense, for moderation, for reasonableness among all of the people. And I don't think you were here at the outset, but one of the things I think that our system of elections suffers from is what I term primary terror. And I know it exists, that, and you can see it. Just watch these guys on TV when they're responding to questions in Washington about almost any issue. They're terrified to say something they might really believe, and they have to say something that they maybe don't believe in order to try to win their primary. And I feel badly for them. I don't have to do that. And I'm happy for me as a result of it. And so I don't think that the numbers we saw before were reflective of the general.
Let's talk about Broward. I mean, I was surprised I went back in 2006. I thought you had a crossover appeal, but you did 35% in Broward. And Bill McCollum for AG did 34% against Skip Campbell. So I guess it wasn't as much a crossover as I maybe thought. Are you going to have to do better here to win this thing? Or what's your strategy for?
Well, one part of the strategy is I don't have an R behind my name. And that's significant. It matters to people. I mean, I can't tell you how many Democrats have offered assistance and help since that change. And I'm gratified by it. I'm grateful for it. And I think that will have an impact. It
What
creates
about
comfort, for those who might be registered.
Speaking of,
Let me wait a minute. Let me go back, because that prompts me back to my initial tack, and I'll try another approach. And I'm hoping you help me fill in the blanks. If you get to Washington, I'm still trying to figure out what type of senator you'll be. So I'll ask you this way: what are your interests? I mean, as far as maybe like committee assignments, what do you see as priorities, things that you'd like to do in Washington specifically? I mean, are you going to be a banking kind of guy? Are you going to be an infrastructure guy? Are you going to be a foreign policy guy? What is Charlie Crist going to do if he's in Washington?
Well, number one, I got to get there first, so I'm pretty focused on that.
That's a given.
But, well, I don't know, I wish it were. But I think that I'll do what I've done as governor. I mean, you can judge me by how I have comported myself as your governor. If I see an issue that I think is good for Florida, I'm going to support it. If I see one that I don't think is good for Florida, I'm going to fight it. And I'll act the same way as a senator if I have the honor to serve you there. And are there areas of interest that I like to more than others?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean,
Such
you know,
as?
having been Attorney General, things that would help consumers, you know, I'd like to fight for them. I would like to be engaged in civil rights issues. You know, if you happen to be on the Judiciary Committee, you might have an opportunity to make more of a difference in those things. And just fight for what's right for regular people. And I think that that's what I've tried to do is, you know, better education for our children, protecting our environment, trying to fight for the economy, lower taxes. I haven't changed. You know, I'm going to be the same guy I am. I just have a different designation behind my name. And if I have,
One issue you didn't mention, and I got to bring this up because of your Greek ancestry, what happened in Greece with their budget and what's happening in this country with the deficits and